Welcome. Today, we're going to walk through a comprehensive process using Grok AI to conduct a detailed evaluation of an educational book manuscript and then iteratively applying its recommendations to improve the text. The first step is to have our evaluation criteria prepared. I have a comprehensive prompt already written in this Notepad file, specifically designed for assessing a manuscript like our educational book. This prompt, titled Comprehensive Manuscript Evaluation Prompt, is quite thorough. It instructs the AI to assess the manuscript for its consistency, accuracy, and marketability, crucial elements for an educational text. It also includes a chapter-by-chapter analysis framework, a scoring system from 1 to 100 for each chapter and the overall manuscript, and specific instructions for providing recommendations. I'm selecting the entire prompt now and copying it to my clipboard. Next, I'll minimize Notepad and head back to Grok. I'll paste the entire copied prompt directly into Grok's main input field. Now, with the detailed instructions in place, we need to provide the manuscript itself. I'll click the Attach icon, select Upload a File, and then choose our educational book manuscript, which is a Word document titled Fundamentals of Internet and Web Technologies. Once selected and opened, you can see it's now attached to our prompt in Grok. With both the comprehensive prompt and the manuscript file loaded, I'll click the Send button. Grok will now process this information. You can see my detailed prompt displayed, and Grok is now working on generating the evaluation based on those instructions and the content of the educational book. And here's the output. Grok has generated a comprehensive manuscript evaluation report for Fundamentals of Internet and Web Technologies. As we scroll through, you can see it's followed our prompt precisely. It starts with an introduction, then moves into a detailed chapter-by-chapter evaluation. For each chapter, like Chapter 1, What is the Internet?, it provides a summary, then breaks down the consistency, accuracy, and marketability with strengths, weaknesses, and scores. It also provides a total chapter score and specific recommendations for improvement. This detailed analysis is repeated for every chapter in the educational manuscript. Further down, we reach the overall manuscript evaluation. This section summarizes the overall strengths and weaknesses across the entire book, which is vital for understanding its educational value. It then delves into market positioning, discussing the target audience, likely students for this educational book, genre, competitive landscape, and unique selling points. Critically, it provides an overall score. As we can see here, Grok calculated an overall score of 81.25, which it then rounded to 81 out of 100 for the manuscript. Finally, it offers a set of final recommendations for the entire manuscript, followed by a concluding summary. Let's take a closer look at some key parts. Here's the overall score calculation again, giving us a quantifiable measure of the manuscript's current state. And here are the overall strengths, weaknesses, and those crucial final recommendations for enhancing this educational text. Now that we have this comprehensive evaluation, we can ask Grok to take further action. For example, I'm now typing a follow-up request. I would like you to apply your recommendations to Chapter 1. This demonstrates how we can use the AI's own evaluation to guide direct revisions. Let's send that off. All right. We've just asked Grok to apply its recommendations to Chapter 1 of our educational manuscript. Let's see what it does. It's now processing that request. And here's the response. Grok confirms it will revise Chapter 1, addressing the identified weaknesses while preserving its strengths. It even lists out the specific recommendations for Chapter 1 that it's about to implement, like refining transitions, adding a diagram, strengthening the hook, citing sources, and clarifying character roles. Below this, Grok presents a revised version of Chapter 1. It's displayed in a separate editor pane on the right. We can see the heading, Chapter 1, What is the Internet?, and the new text begins. This is Grok's attempt at rewriting the chapter based on its own improvement suggestions. It's incorporating changes like a more engaging opening, and we can see it's even inserted a placeholder for a diagram and introduced the characters Tom and Lila more clearly. Scrolling down on the left pane, Grok provides an explanation of changes. It details how it strengthened the hook, provided a clearer introduction of Tom and Lila, refined the anecdote transition, added a placeholder for a diagram of the Internet's structure, and importantly, added a reputable source for historical claims. This directly addresses the feedback from the initial evaluation for our educational book. Crucially, it also shows the impact on scores. The consistency score improved from 25 to 28, accuracy from 24 to 27, and marketability from 32 to 36. This results in a total revised score for Chapter 1 of 91 out of 100, up from the original 81. That's a significant improvement. Now let's take this revised chapter. I'll click the Copy Contents button in Grok's editor pane to copy the revised Chapter 1 text. Next, I'm opening the original manuscript in Microsoft Word. Here's the original Chapter 1. I'll select all of the original content for Chapter 1 and delete it. Then I'll paste the revised chapter content from Grok directly into the document. So now, Chapter 1 of our educational book has been updated with Grok's improvements. We can repeat this process for other chapters. Back in Grok, I'll type a new prompt. I would like you to apply your recommendations to Chapter 2. We're asking Grok to do the same revision process for the next chapter of our educational book. And just like before, Grok is processing and now generating its response for Chapter 2. It lists the recommendations it will apply, such as integrating the homestead narrative more seamlessly, adding an OSI model diagram, including a reputable source, expanding Lila's role, and incorporating a quiz. On the right, we see the revised Chapter 2 Core Networking Concepts. Grok has rewritten this chapter as well, incorporating those specific improvements to make it more effective as an educational resource. Looking at the explanation of changes on the left for Chapter 2, we see details on the integrated homestead narrative, the added OSI model diagram, the included reputable source, Lila's expanded role, and the new incorporated quiz. And again, the impact on scores shows an improvement for Chapter 2. The original score was 81, and the total revised score is now 90 out of 100. Another great improvement. So I'll copy the revised Chapter 2 content from Grok's editor. Then, I'll switch back to our Word document, navigate to the original Chapter 2, select its content, delete it, and paste in the newly revised Chapter 2 from Grok. Our manuscript is progressively getting stronger. Let's do one more. Continuing our iterative revision process, the user has now prompted Grok to apply recommendations to Chapter 19. Grok processes this, and we see its familiar response structure. First, the list of recommendations it will apply to Chapter 19 of our educational book. And then on the right, the revised version of Chapter 19 Virtual Private Networks, VPNs. Grok has rewritten this chapter, incorporating improvements like a strengthened opening hook, reintegrated homestead narrative, an added VPN tunnel diagram placeholder, a reputable source, and an interactive activity, all aimed at making the content clearer and more engaging for students. On the left, we see the explanation of changes and, importantly, the impact on scores for Chapter 19. The consistency improved from 22 to 26, accuracy from 23 to 27, and marketability from 32 to 36. This brings the total revised score for Chapter 19 to 89 out of 100, up from the original 77. Excellent progress. So, following our established workflow, the user copies the revised Chapter 19 content from Grok. Then they switch back to the Word document, navigate to the original Chapter 19, select and delete the old text, and paste in the newly improved version from Grok. Now that several chapters have been revised, it's a good time to save this updated version of our educational manuscript. The user goes to Save As in Word, navigates to their Downloads folder, and importantly, gives the file a new name, Revised Fundamentals of Internet and Web Technologies. This ensures we keep the original and the improved versions separate, and the document is saved. With a substantially revised manuscript, the next logical step is to get a fresh overall evaluation. So, the user clicks the new chat icon in Grok, starting a clean slate. The Grok interface resets. The user now brings up their original comprehensive manuscript evaluation prompt from Notepad again, selects the entire text and copies it. They then paste this full detailed prompt back into Grok's main input field. This time, instead of the original manuscript, the user clicks the Attach icon, selects Upload a File, and navigates to and selects the newly saved, revised Fundamentals of Internet and Web Technologies.x, the version that incorporates all the AI-assisted revisions. With the same detailed evaluation prompt, but now with the revised manuscript attached, the user clicks Send. Grok will now perform a completely new evaluation on the improved version of the educational book. Grok is now generating the new comprehensive evaluation for our revised educational manuscript. We can see the familiar structure appearing: introduction, chapter evaluations, and so on. The user scrolls through the chapter-by-chapter analysis, which now reflects the scores of the improved chapters. As the user continues to scroll, we see the detailed breakdown for each chapter within this new evaluation. The scores for consistency, accuracy, and marketability are presented, along with total chapter scores and any new recommendations based on the revised content. This allows for a direct comparison of how the revisions have impacted each section of the educational book. Finally, we reach the overall manuscript evaluation for the revised version. We see the updated overall strengths, weaknesses, and market positioning, and most importantly, the new overall score. After all the iterative improvements, the revised manuscript now scores 83 out of 100. This is an improvement from the initial score of 81, reflecting the positive impact of the AI-assisted revisions across multiple chapters. The report also includes updated final recommendations, which might now focus on finer polishing or next steps, and a new conclusion summarizing the state of the revised manuscript. The user highlights the conclusion, which notes the manuscript is strong and engaging with significant potential. This entire process demonstrates a powerful workflow for leveraging AI. We started with an initial evaluation, used the AI's feedback to guide specific chapter revisions, and then reevaluated the improved manuscript to quantify the progress. This iterative approach, combining human direction with AI capabilities, can significantly enhance the quality of an educational book or any detailed written work. It allows for targeted improvements and provides a structured way to track the impact of those changes.